All right, so yesterday we worked on arithmetic sequences and going through and finding out different parts of it, kind of how the terms go. Today is all about writing the explicit formulas. Okay, so the thing I want to remind you of is, what is the explicit formula? So I'm going to write it up top. It is a sub n is equal to a1 plus n minus 1 in parentheses times d. Okay? Some of those things to remember. A sub 1 is your first term. Okay? N is eventually the number term you're looking for. So it could be 102nd, it could be 103rd, it could be something like that. And then D is going to be your common difference. The things that you need, okay, listen to me and hear me. The things that you need to write explicit formulas are your first term, your A sub 1, and then your D, your common difference. Those are the things you need. Now, once you get those, you are not going to be allowed to just leave them like this. You're going to have to take it and plug it in and simplify. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 problems on the front. I'm going to do 2 problems on the back. And then I'm going to give y'all some time to work and we can look at what the answers would be. Are y'all with me? All right. So let's start here with number 1. Okay, the directions simply state to find the explicit formula. Okay, well, here's what I want you to remember. What did I say you have to know to write the explicit formula? You need A sub 1, which is your first term, and then you need your common difference, which is D. Now, do we know any of those right off the bat? Yeah, we know our... No. We know our starting term. Even before you do any math, your starting term is the first term. So what is our A sub 1 here? It is negative 29. Now, the next thing is we have to find our common difference. Now, yeah, you were already all on top of it. To go from the first term to the second term, you had to do what? Subtract 30. Now, some of us might not have noticed that at first. Let me tell you how you can find your common difference if you don't notice it. Okay? Here's what you do to find your common difference. You go your second term minus the first term. So if you had gone negative 59, so I'll show you right here, and I'm not usually going to do this, but if you had gone negative 59 minus a negative 29. 2 negatives would make positives, and you'd get out negative 30. That is one way to find what the difference is. Okay? So if you don't see it, that's an easy way to find the first one. Now, let's check and make sure it holds for the rest of these. How do we go from negative 59 to negative 89? Negative 30. What about negative 89 to negative 119? Negative 30. Okay? So, we get all those. That means our common difference is negative 30. Now, watch how easy it is to get the explicit formula. A sub n is equal to, well, A1 is negative 29 plus n minus 1. And then D is going to be negative 30. Okay? Now, here are the next kind of things here, all right? You would take this and do what with the negative 30? Distribute, okay? So, once you distribute, that means you get negative 29. Negative 30 times positive n is negative 30n. So, see how I just made that a minus 30n. Negative 30 times negative 1, 2 negatives make a positive, and you get out 30. Is everybody okay? All right, now the last step is to simply combine your like terms. So you would get A sub n is equal to 1 minus 30n. And that is your explicit formula. Okay? I showed you this yesterday quickly kind of on your notes type deal. and go through all of that. Any questions? No? All right. Okay. Let's look at number 2, and that's the other one I'm going to do on the front, and then we'll jump to the back. But that's all this process is today, is truly working on those, identifying the key terms that you need, and then plugging it in and reducing. Okay? Remember, the goal of this explicit formula is so that then we could choose any number we wanted to and plug it in and find that term. Okay? Like if we wanted the 156th term, we could take that and plug it in. All right, now let's go through this and do the same idea kind of right here with number 2. All right, step number 1 is, remember, we know we need our a sub 1 and our common difference, our d value. Well, what is our a sub 1 here? Negative 11. Now, let's find what we were doing, okay, to get this here. What were we doing to go from negative 11 to positive 9? You were adding 20. Perfect, okay? So that's plus 20. Again, how you could have figured that out, if I came over here to the side and said, all right, I need to know what my difference is. Well, I just would have gone 9 minus a negative 11. Is everybody with me on how I'm doing this? And I got out 20. Perfect. Well, to go from 9 to 29 is another plus 20. From 29 to 49 is another plus 20. So that does mean that our common difference is positive 20. Okay? So if we come down here and we start trying to find a sub n, we know that our first term, a sub 1, is negative 11. Then it's going to be plus n minus 1. And then for d, we're going to plug in a positive 20. Once we plug all that in, we need to take that 20 and distribute it. So what you would get here is negative 11. 20 times n is positive 20n. 20 times negative 1 is negative 20. Last step is to combine your like terms, and then you are left with the explicit formula. So that is negative 31 plus 20n. How are we feeling on that? Relatively easy, right? Feeling good, feeling great. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do now is flip over to the back, and I will give you some time here in a second to work on those other ones. All right, so on the back, same thing. It says, given the first term and the common difference, find the explicit formula. These problems, in my opinion, are even easier. Because what are the two things I told you we needed? We need the starting term and the common difference. Hey! We have both of those, don't we? Yes, we do. So check, check. Now we can just skip to straight plugging those. So we have those two terms. So at this point, it's just going and plugging it into our formula. Okay? So I know I'm going to have a sub n is equal to, well, my a1 is 23 plus n minus 1 times your common difference, which is 2. You sit here, and then you have to distribute that 2. So you get 23 plus 2n. 2 times negative 1 is minus 2. Combine those like terms. You get a sub n is equal to 21 plus 2n. What questions do we have? Huh? No questions? All right. Just because I told you I was going to do 2, I'm going to do number 10. Okay. The directions are the same. They ask you to write the explicit formula. Once again, we know we have A1 and we have our D. So we are good to go straight to it and write it out. So A sub n will equal 13 plus n minus 1. And then your D value here is 30. Take that 30 and distribute it to both the n and the minus 1. So you would get 13 plus 30n, because 30 times n. And then 30 times negative 1 would give you a minus 30. Combining your like terms, which are 13 and negative 30, A sub n would be negative 17 plus 30n. Questions? Concerns? All right, so what we are going to do is I'm going to give y'all probably about 14 minutes. During those 14 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and work out the rest of these, and then I'll show it to you and let you check them kind of right before class or at the start of the next period. Anybody got any questions on that? Okay, ready, set, go.